Good afternoon, girls, boys and girls. I'm a student of the 10th social economy class, and I'm glad to see you, to see everyone at our event, and I'm glad to see our guests at our Lyceum. And the topic of my report is the origin of American English. English has gained the international status relatively recently, in the 17th century. It has many dialects around the world, and today we are going to talk about one of them, American English. The capitalist development of industry and agriculture in Europe has led to the overpopulation of several countries. People began to starve, and political and religious pressure has intensified. In the 17th and 18th centuries, most of the population of the European countries actually began to populate land on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. So, on the territory of modern United States, some people spoke Spanish, French, German, Dutch, Norwegian, Swedish, Irish, and even Russian. It's worth noting that the territories populated by Europeans were colonies of the United Kingdom and were completely under the control of the British. They found the army, politics, and so on. Americans were unwilling to obey the metropolis, and overall, England had the strongest influence on the continent. But the colonies were not unique to only England. Spain, France, and many other states dominated the large territories of North America since the 15th century. All colonies interacted with each other, created separate culture ties, and regardless of nationality, of course. Gradually, their relationships has intensified, and in 1754, Benjamin Franklin proposed the project of the union of the colonies of the North America with its own government, but with a president appointed by the British king. Although the project didn't claim the full independence of colonies, British governments reacted really very aggressively, and this was a premise of the American Revolutionary War. The American Revolutionary War lasted from 1775 to 1783, and until the war, the majority of the population were British Protestants, 82%. The choice of the official US language became obvious. However, many changes have occurred due to national diversity, and English officially became the state language only of the United States, of course, only in 2006. It's important to mention one interesting fact. Due to the large-scale settlement of Germans in the 20th century, German could become the official language of the United States. In early 1974, in Virginia, a group of Germans appealed to the local government with a request to translate all the documents into German, because the majority of settlers, didn't know English. This request was rejected, but the difference was only one vote, 42 versus 41. And an integral part of American English is its differences from British one. Let's take a look and figure it out, the differences. Americans, the first difference is the difference of pronunciation of the R sound. Americans, as you can see, always pronounce the sound and read the following words like car, cover, turn, and the British almost never sound R and read the following words so, car, cover, turn, for example. Yeah. In fact, it's because it's difficult for the British to pronounce this sound simply because of their phonetic features of their dialect, and because of their biological features of their mouth. It's the same with the U sound. As you can see, Americans and British pronounce them differently. In the American version, the words with this sound and with this letter sounds like duty, new, tune, and the British one like a duty, new, tune. As you can hear, this sound in the British English, it sounds like you, but softer than in the Russian language, of course. The opposite is true with the a sound or with the a later. In the USA, you have a 90% of chance of hearing it sounds but not a. For example, the words like ask, but, last. And in the British one, let's go ask, but, last. You can hear the distinctive R sound in the British one. Also different pronunciation of words with the endings eri, ari, ori. In the American language, Americans pronounce these words more eloquently than in British. Like secretary, monastery, and in the British one, there are no extra syllable. For example, like secretary, monastery. And the next difference is the difference in stress. Americans emphasis mostly at the middle of words. For example, like были, debris, and the British emphasis mostly at the beginning of the words, like belly, debris, and so on. Probably the most striking of words difference of this dialect, of course, it's a different spelling of words. Like you can, as you can see. Sometimes it's almost imperceptible, of course, and like here in American, like color, humor, or British color or humor, or no, it's like an example, yeah. And like for example, words with the letter ter, the letter. For example, center. Letter, it's like, for example, yeah, of course. And now let's talk of differences from American language from British one. The first, of course, American hardly ever used the present perfect, and usually just change it on the past simple. For example, in the sentence, I lost my key, like, in American and the British, like true aristocrats. They should speak beautifully, and they are always strictly follow the rules. For example, like I've lost my case. For example, yes. The first difference is that Americans don't use the words got along with the word have. For example, do you have a car? Do you have a car? Where in the British one, use have got. They always use this construction. For example, have you got a car? A car. Yeah. Same with the verb do after the modal verbs. For example, in an American one, may I borrow your pen? You may. You may. And the British one, use do after the verb. They always use this verb after modal verbs. For example, may I borrow your pen? You may. You may do. Of course. And the but is different. The but is different. So the dialects in the other meaning of words. You can see it there. For example, the first. For example, fall in American and autumn in British. Lawyer in American and barrister on British. In British. For example, American subway, underground, movie, film, vacation, holiday, picture, job, truck, lorry, eraser, rubber, bar, pub, elevator, late. Yeah. Here you can see the references which I used in my presentation, and of course you can click the link and can go through the information which I used. And I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and you'll learn English more and English. Thank you so much for your attention.